Okay, so The Boys. So I watched The Boys. Finally, I finished season 4 last time, and look, I understand the criticism of saying it's like, oh, it's so political, and like the people on the right are offended. And honestly, I get it, but also it's like, there's like plenty for the left to be offended about. I'm just saying. Now, technically, the way I see it's like the boys. The main thing that the boys was providing was, for majority part, was just shock value. Really, right? That's literally all they like. First episode, you have this nice scene. Like I think that's how I'm talking about like season 1, right? How does it start? Huey's like on a walk with his girlfriend, whatever, and she steps on the road, and like out of nowhere, like literally, like it's a normal scene, like nothing is like happening, and then just like A Train just runs through his girlfriend while he's like standing there, still only holding her arms, but like she completely like disappeared, right? Like the show is literally about shock value, right? That's like the main entertainment of the show, and obviously there is like an overarching story of like superheroes are bad, soups are bad, and all that stuff, and like you have the love story, yada yada yada. Like I'm not gonna go into that, but like in terms of politics, the thing is, the way I see season 4 and season 3 is the same. It's like, yeah, season 1 they could have they took it a little lighter on the politics. Season 2 they had to increase it, but they had to increase everything in season 2, and then increase everything in season 3, and then increase everything in season 4. Right? I mean, last time I checked, season 1, 2, and 3 didn't really show anyone sending a picture of a butthole. Right? I think honestly, season 4 was probably like the most disgusting in a way. But again, shock value. They have to keep upping it, right? Like, I mean, look at like the scene in the ice ring, right? And like, I'm not gonna put any footage, obviously, because I don't want to be claimed or anything like that. Like, I just don't want to deal with it, and I'm not a pro at like dealing with that stuff. Like, how much is okay and how much is not. I don't want to know about it right now, so I'm just not putting any footage on. But anyway, so it's like there's like this ice ring scene. I think it's like episode 3 or 4, right? And it's like people panic because somebody got like lasered in half, and then the people are panicking so much that they start like, you know, killing each other while trying to run away with their ice skates, whatever. Right. Then you have like the super genius who needs to get lobotomized every so often, just so she can be like, you know, less genius, right? Like that's pretty disgusting. Putting like a freaking like not cube, like a metal rod inside someone's eye and just like knocking their hammer, right? Just the thought of it is disgusting. You don't really have to see much. It's just the thought is disgusting, right? There was a lot of more, in my opinion, more disgusting shit. Like, what was the shock value in season 3, for example? The octopus sucking off Aqua Boy or whatever his name is, like the Aquaman, Aquaman wannabe, right? Fishman. That was shock value, right? But like in terms of bloody, I don't think season 3 was even like as bloody. In comparison, obviously it was bloody, but like, you know. Then you had like Stew's dad going on a rampage in the hospital, right? It's like all these things. Like, I'm sorry, there will be spoilers. Yeah. I should I should just say like I'm gonna put like a note at the beginning that's like, yeah. Um. So it's like, in my opinion, in terms of like what the boys is about, really is providing shock value and making it that entertaining, is as well as giving you an um overarching like plot, right? Now, regarding the politics, which is what people really seem to like have a problem with, and they equate, basically, I think this is like what the main criticism was, like, oh, the Homelander side, like the Supes are like Republicans and they're the evil guys, and the guys who are fighting the Supes are like the good guys. And by the way, I don't know if you know this, there are no good guys in the boys. They're like slightly better guys, but nobody is really good at the boys. You would think, like, oh, maybe Huey's a good guy. Bro, he fed his, again, spoiler, he fed his dad V on his deathbed when, like, after he had like a seizure. and his dad ended up killing like I don't know how many people, probably like 20 plus, right? No consequences, no nothing, right? It's like not a good guy, okay? Not a good guy. I'm sorry, right? Starlight, probably the only character that was good from the start. As far as I know, I don't think she did anything. Like I don't remember her doing anything like evil or anything like that. And I'm talking about like not only not having the intention of not doing evil, like Yui never has the intention of doing evil, but he just does evil. Starlight, as far as I know, didn't do any evil and never had intention to do evil. Right? So it's like the only one. Everyone else is like completely fucked up. Everyone else is pretty much evil, but it's like you see their point of view, so you don't think of them as evil. But if you go in that direction, then it's like, well, I see Homelander's point of view. He was abused by humans since he was created, essentially. He was treated like a test project. So now he's taking out his revenge by treating everyone else like test projects. Like, we can go both ways, right? So it's like, I don't think anyone is really good in that show. Maybe Starlight can be debated, right? Now, in terms of like politics, straight up, like the Vought is on the right, like they're conservatives, and like anyone against them is on the left. Honestly, I don't think so. Like Vought, for example, does a lot of pandering to race and inclusiveness, right, on the media. That sounds to me more like CNN than it does sound like Fox News. I'm just saying, right? Who talks about internment camps? The left, right? So it's like the season ended with like where it was leading towards and ended towards Homelander wanting to create internment camps for humans, right? For like the people who oppose him. Honestly, again, that sounds very like the Democrats when they say that it's like we need to send the Republicans to re-education camps. That kind of sounds to me more Democrats than it sounds conservatives. I don't remember conservatives going after the people saying that they need to be re-educated. They are fighting ideologies, but they're never. I don't think conservatives are like actively attacking people. They're attacking ideas, not people. Right. Presidential assassination. Last time I checked, the foreign president that got almost assassinated in real life is Donald Trump. So, and Vought wants to assassinate the president. I'm just saying. Right? It's like that one you can take like however you want. Maybe there are plans of assassination from both sides. And this is not like a whole. I'm not gonna make a video about like conspiracy theories. All I'm gonna say is the president that almost got assassinated is a Republican. Okay? Who's demonizing the other side in real life? Oh, the left is demonizing the conservatives, calling like basically demonizing them, like just saying that like conservatives are evil, right? Donald Trump is Nazi, he needs to be killed. People are celebrating that well, not so, they're like in agony that the shooter missed. That sounds to me like the left. Who is promoting this in the show? Vought. Vought is promoting demonizing the other side, right? The other sides are evil, yada yada yada, right? It's like, oh, they're killing babies. Now, the killing babies makes them on the right. But as a whole, their whole spiel, is literally the CNN spiel of like the other side is evil, right? Then the other one like that makes Vought more on the left than on the right is putting a person in the White House without voting by invoking the 25th. Gee, which party recently did that? They put Joe Biden in power, and then the whole thing is that everyone was saying, so they're gonna invoke the 25th on Joe Biden, like 2 years into presidency. Okay, they were wrong. But somehow Kamala Harris is now the de facto Democratic leader for the Democratic Party for nomination without any like voting happening, right? So if anything, Vought is closer to the left in that aspect. Now, Vought is also closer to the right in many aspects, right? Make America super again, their slogan at the end there, right? Homelander beats the justice system even though he was clearly in the wrong, right? But like because the media was lying for him, whatever. Which, by the way, is not even really on the right because the media was lying for him and covering for him and creating this whole narrative of like how the guy who had threw a can at his son, was like a pedo or whatever. that can go both ways, really, but I'm gonna take it as if this is on the right, just because the whole point of like the Homelander beat the justice system, Donald Trump beat the justice system, right? Um, the other side are baby killers, right? So it's like, oh my god, she aborted a baby at like 8 months, and it's like it's so anti-conservative, yada yada yada, right? It's like anti-Jesus, right? Also, like the whole like Jesus spiel they had like going on with like Christmas, put the Christ in Christmas, that one as well. Yes, that's more conservative, sure. But it's like for me, VOT right now seems like they're just pandering to everyone. Like they're just pandering. Like it doesn't matter. Like they just need public opinion, right? And then also like the whole like Homelander's kind of like Trump in the sense that it's like he can do no wrong in the public eye of his supporter base, and it's like yeah okay, but it's like that's also Joe Biden, so it's like I see a lot of similarities. Like you can spin it however you want. Now it is clear that it's like somehow, somewhat intended to be more that VOT is on the right or anything like that. But in no shape or form, like if you really look at it, it's like a lot of what VOT does has not like very not right leaning. Like what they do in public, like specifically Homelander in public, more right leaning. What VOT does as a whole and like the whole soup thing spiel is more left leaning if you think about it, right? They do a lot more pandering. They finish off with like internment camps, right? All that stuff that I already said. Right. So in my opinion, it wasn't that hardcore political. Now, when it, like there were certain stuff that were inserted purposefully to make VOT seem more on the right, like if you want to view it as in like political aisles, right? When they said that it's like the Starlighters are against trans rights because they don't let trans women go into women's bathrooms, like whatever, which is like again that is a right talking point, sure, good talking point, but it's a right talking point. They use it as if it was evil. Like that one was kind of like okay, whatever. Right? It's like I see what you did there. It didn't need to be there. It was like purposeful. It didn't like add anything, but it's like it was literally put there for the purpose of being that, like of trying to make the like VOT seem more right leaning, or like the VOT support base seem more right leaning and more like Donald Trump, right? And then the whole like the abortion thing, right? Which is like she killed a baby at 6 or 8 weeks, whatever, right? And it's like that was thing, and like the Jesus thing. Those were like really like the strongest conservative points that came from the VOT side. So it's like, you know. Now regarding like the whole the extra crazy stuff, like for example the conspiracy theory convention thing. Dude, honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. If you're identifying yourself as part of the conspiracy theory um, convention thing and you're on the right, I'm sorry, you're not the majority of the right. Not that many people are flat earthers. Not that many people like go completely bananas on like believing conspiracy theories, right? Majority of people don't think that what do you call it? That wow, I forgot my train of thought. Right, majority of people think J6 was wrong. Conservatives and liberals, right? Like the ones who are closer to the center think J6 was wrong, right? Obviously, you can talk about it, right? You can say that it's like, well, there's like some were like it was entrapment, whatever. And it's like at the end of the day, look, entrapment or not, I get it, it's wrong, and it's like they enticed people to do something, and you can make that argument. But at the end of the day, they still did it, right? The ones who actually did the harm, not the ones who just like took a stroll through, not the ones who were arrested, who were just outside, like looking in, right? They were just like standing there, not doing anything, sitting on a bench, and they got charged, right? That's what the stories I heard, right? I'm not gonna go into like is it true or not, right? I'm not gonna make this a Gen 6 thing, but I'm just saying that it's like most people in general when they think J6, like yeah, it was bad, okay? It was just bad, like it wasn't great, right? Um, right? Inside jobs and all that stuff, like super hardcore conspiracy theories, right? The like 9/11 is an inside job, whatever. even if people believe it, they don't believe it that much where they're gonna like argue with you about it. They'll be like, okay, it wasn't an inside job, whatever, right? Like they don't really care about it anymore. It's not that big of a deal. Like JFK was an inside job. Maybe, maybe not. Most people doesn't really bother them, right? It's like they wouldn't be surprised either way, you know. But you have the ones who are like hardcore. It's like, no, this is an inside job, whatever. If you identify as those, I'm sorry, you're not really part of conservatives or liberals or anything like that. You're just part of a small group that is on some side, right? So it's like, I don't know, the whole convention thing. It's like if they had a furry convention, would that be okay? Like if they had a furry convention. Last time I checked, when you have like a superhero expo, like they had like the whole like they had like a stage and whatever, they would talk about like VOT's next few years. People were dressing up as superheroes and stuff. Last I checked, the people who usually do that, the people who go to like anime cons, the people who dress up any chance they get, usually not conservatives. Okay, so again, they're pandering to both sides. Well, not pandering. They're kind of like offending both sides, really. And then again, you can say this like all the costumes are like just to indicate like kind of like a mega head or whatever. And it's like, I mean, we can stretch it however you want. We can do it however you want. But in my opinion, I don't think there was anything like specifically very wrong with The Boys season 4 in terms of just like the politics. It was there's no like this is a clear indication that the conservatives are evil. There's plenty to go both ways. So in my opinion, not that big of a deal. Now in terms of like how the show was, honestly, I kind of liked it. Like I wouldn't say it's like a 10 out of 10. I think it was like a solid 6, a solid 7 even. 6 to 7. And mainly the reason is because I was watching it and I want to see the next episode. I found it pretty entertaining. Episode 5 in my opinion was fantastic. I loved episode 5 with the flying sheep. That was hilarious. I was like, oh fuck, you know? It's like this fucking bull comes out and he's like fully like loaded on V, right? And then it's like he just get demolished by 4 sheep. Flying sheep. I was like, oh shit, right? Stuff like that, right? The ending, massive, what do you call it? What do you call it? Like when like it ends on like a note where you're like, well, what happens next? Cliffhanger. Massive cliffhanger. The way the season ended makes me want to look what happens in season 5. Like there's a lot of variables at play right now. Obviously, I believe episode 1 of like the next season would be Starlight saving someone. Like pretty sure. Right? I honestly thought there was gonna be another like Butch versus Homelander, but that never happened. We also don't know where Homelander's son is, Will Ryan is. So there's a lot of like things that I'm like, dude, I gotta want to see what happens, right? So it's like, yeah, I'm definitely tuning into Boys season 5. And again, if you are this is I think the main point that I can say about The Boys. If you think the show is bad just because of political points, you are too involved in politics, or like you're too much on Twitter. Okay. Now is there pandering happening? Yes. Is the show really that bad because pandering is happening? Like, is it so in your face that it detracts from like how the show is entertaining? From like, does it remove from the entertainment value just because these things are there? In my opinion, no. Usually, when I see like shows that are like they have like a pandering, or like they're throwing in like some some messaging out there. Usually they do it in exchange for entertainment. I don't think The Boys did that. I think The Boys put it in enough to make a point, not enough to deduce from entertainment. Right? Maybe like 1 or 2 points were kind of like, or like a slight cringe, and it's like, okay, whatever. But for the most part, I almost like never, like, I would actually have to think about the politics in order to apply the politics. Right? Literally, like, as I was watching, especially like the last 2 episodes, I was like, man, so like, what were people saying about this that it's like political? And then I have to like actually like think back and make a list of like, oh, okay, so that was very right leaning. It's like, oh, that was left leaning, and it's like I was literally like having to think about it because as much as I love Twitter politics and stuff, and it's entertaining, I don't live it. Like, it's not like a massive part of me. I find it very entertaining to like see like the right versus the left and stuff. Like, I find it very entertaining. Most of my beliefs right now are more aligned with conservative, but like I'm very centrist. Honestly, I'm still like a 90s in what you would consider a 90s liberal, right? Now is libertarian, whatever you want to call it. Like Bill Clinton era. I'm still there. I was like, do whatever you want, just don't ruin other people's day, right? And that goes both ways, by the way. So it's like, I don't mind trans having their own bathroom. I do mind trans infiltrating women's sports or like women's spaces, because it's like, yes, you might deserve your own privacy. You deserve your own privacy, right? We all have like a right for privacy or whatever you want. However, you don't deserve to take the right away from other people, from other people's privacy. Like I don't think you deserve that right, right? So that would put me as a far right extremist at this point, apparently, right? Which honestly, I don't care if you think that. I don't think I don't think I am. But like, yeah. So it's like, for me, honestly, if you watch The Boys and all you see is politics, I think you need to like take a break from politics. You need to like take a step back and just like look at something that's entertaining. In my opinion, even if The Boys is not sending that bad of a message in terms of like politics, I don't think it has a very concrete stance. Even though you can say it's like, well, everyone on the cast is liberal, and Seth Rogen, who's I think he's like a producer, he's liberal, yada yada yada, and it's like he's a Joe Biden support, and it's like, yeah, but is the show really pushing that hard of a message? In my opinion, not really. It is using real life assets to increase its entertainment value at the expense of the right, sometimes at the expense of the left, right? And by the way, it treats both sides as idiots. I don't know if you noticed this, but like both sides, like the ones who are like supposedly like supposed to be represented by like the conservatives, which is like the base that supports Donald Trump or like Homelander, right? They're treated like idiots. The other side is also treated like idiots. Like like everyone is treated like idiots. Like it doesn't like there's no like they're making fun of both of the sides, right? So it's like I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like if you like, you might not like the show because it's like how much shock value can really get, and like that's a different story. But like in terms of like people complaining about the politics in it, I'm sorry, I don't agree. I think the show is a solid 6 or 7. I mean, I didn't think about the rating too hard, but like in my opinion, entertainment value I got from it, especially like at the end of every episode, making me want to watch the next one. I actually watched all 8 episodes. Now I'm thinking about it. I watched them in a row because I thought like I took a break between like 4 and 5, but it wasn't that big of a break. So I practically watched them all in a row. Fuck man, that was a hard day. And yeah, I didn't feel like I wasted my time. I felt entertained. I had absolutely no problem watching it. Right. So that's my 2 cents about The Boys season 4. In my opinion, they haven't done anything that is like way worse. Obviously, The Boys season 1 was way better, but I don't know many sequels that like actually keep getting better with each sequel, right? Except maybe Game of Thrones, because season 1 was so goddamn slow. In my opinion, season 1 was like a 5 compared to like every other season, right? You had like, yeah. Not gonna get into let's not get into Game of Thrones. All I'm saying is this: like, there's not many seasons that like the season 2 is better than season 1, that season 3 is better than season 2 and season 1. There's not like, rarely happens. So a slight dip in rating, a slight dip in popularity, I mean that's always the case. But yeah, in terms of like the politics in it, I mean I get it, but I think people are exaggerating about how bad it really is. Anyways, this is for the video. Thank you for watching, and yeah, take care. Or yeah, we'll go with take care. I'm a nice guy today.